So I realized recently that groove shadows aren't really being used to their highest potential, and I'm not seeing them in a lot of places, which is very interesting. I only just recently realized this, researching something and saying, "Wait a minute, I forgot all about this," and this could be actually useful for a lot of stuff. So a couple of given areas right off the bat: trailer music, promo music, production music. All these things could benefit from having supplemental groove shadow tracks or material that just is explicitly like a whole album of groove shadows, so that you could mix and match the groove shadow album with another production. So for instance, you buy the or use the trailer album called Zebra Trailers, and then you go and you get the groove shadow component to match that and sort of stretch the rhythm out. So initially, you're making like your own little production based on blending these two together. And so I think that would be useful, just having one or the other, but especially being able to blend them into a new production. So another one is the keyboards, and I especially thought of Yamaha for this because they have this alliance with Steinberg. There could be groove shadow collections in both Cubase or the Yamaha keyboards, especially the workstations, and it's incredible to me. And this includes also like the PSR, like getting people started with some basic elements of this in the PSR keyboards, which are the sort of lowest level but very good quality keyboards for people who are starting out or just need a PSR for something. But anyways, they really utilize a lot of technology. So I'm wondering to myself, could this be another thing in the basket? And whoever gets to this first can sort of create their own branding of the groove shadow that it's going to what it's going to provide. Because groove shadows don't just provide the loop and they add the ability to contour things, which is kind of what I mentioned before. So you add your signature sound using the right groove shadow. So another place aside from hardware keyboards would be places like TraxSource or Beatport. You go to Beatport and there's how many millions of four on the floor patterns with all the house subtleties. But where's the groove shadow house? So that's crazy to me that something that is so incredibly like a perfect match for the DJ world doesn't exist. And instead, what do? They just go after getting bigger and bigger libraries. So to me, it's crazy that you could have an exclusive or not exclusive, but just like you could be one of the first early adopters of the concept to help make your product, stand out. And as far as all these companies, you could just have expansion capability. So you would say, expansion for your production music release, or expansion for your Yamaha keyboard, or Alesis keyboard, or Roland keyboard, or Korg keyboard, or expansion for your DJ console. Go to the groove shadow section to get your original groove shadows to make your grooves more original. And so the trick with the modern groove shadow is that because of the incredible development with DSPs and the spectral end of things, you can really create perfect blendings to what you need. So if you have spectral processing, and then your transient processing, which is sort of spectral processing, and then you tempo sync and you key sync, that's all you need. And so like you have the ability now to just like quantize in every direction. So to me it seems pretty obvious that you'd want to be able to you have something where it provides like a miniature production to support whatever you're doing. So if you have a four on the floor drum loop that you're starting off with the audience, and start sneaking in the groove shadow until it eventually grows out of control. And so part of the point of them again is to make it so that it can help to stimulate ideas. So again, it's a perfect blending for the DJ scene as well. So other applications to this are in GameAudio, of course, but it just seems like a no-brainer to me to include the groove shadows in especially production music, keyboards, and where DJs go to get loops. So I just wanted to mention that because I'm working on a lot of Groove Shadow stuff lately after revisiting this topic, because it's incredible to me that none of this stuff exists still, especially in places like Splice and Big Fish Audio, and it's in very small numbers if it does exist. And that's only because people like myself had been working on the concept, but it's like nobody else got involved with it for whatever reason. It's still a good idea to me. It's like, part of a production is making cool sounds that, you can't quite understand what's happening, or new things. And so these do this quite quickly. And so that's like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you do this? Why would you have this in the basket of choices? So anyway, I wanted to make a quick video about that. For those that don't know what a Groove Shadow actually is, it's essentially a sound design made musical. So it's like whatever sound design you're doing, whether it's complex or whether it's some basic noise that you're conforming to make it rhythmic or whatever. Once you're doing this job of making it, a musical element, it's sort of becoming this Groove Shadow. And so the reason for the name Groove Shadow is multi-purpose. One is, the idea that there's this outer rhythm around rhythm. Okay, that's one crazy deep idea. But then another idea behind Groove Shadow is to make entire productions created from sound design. And then another idea behind Groove Shadow is, of course, one of the most critical ones, which is the dub factor. To be able to dub in unconventional things and kind of chaotic, or just anything to stimulate whatever's there. So those are just some of the ideas that Groove Shadow was meant to be about. And the first product that was called Groove Shadow was released by a company called Ubershaw. And the first one was just like a basic beginning to the idea. Hey, what do you think? And the second one though was a really well executed this design, and it could have used a lot more iterations as well. However, for whatever reason, the markets have been the way they've been for a very long time, and so this wasn't like a promoted idea, but it's still an idea that's applicable even to today, where to be able to quickly produce something that's like a production supporting your work, your creative process. And then have the bonus of being able to actually use this in your music, without having to worry about, any issues in terms of copyright or whatever. Seems like a great idea still. And why it's not supported is mainly just lack of promotion. And people, have been working on other things. And so it's like there's not really a whole ecosystem around it. And it's like an incidental thing where people stumble into it, sort of like I did, just listening to great music and great producers and realizing some of their secrets, because when you really start to explore music production, it's incredibly deep. But Groove Shadows was one of the first things that I happened to notice, that people make these very densely layered rhythms to support the rhythm that's the most focused on. So there's all the stuff that happens around it that people don't necessarily focus on the most, because it's not meant to be. It's meant to be just like an accent in some cases. So anyways, those are some ideas that I had for promoting the Groove Shadow ideas and a little bit about the Groove Shadow idea.